In this one, I'm going to show you how to add text to a video using CapCut. I have a clip already on the timeline. You can see on the bottom the Add Text icon. If you don't see it, your clip is selected in the timeline. Make sure you deselect it by clicking on the space below or above it, and then you'll see the toolbar on the bottom change. I'm going to enter some sample text here, and when I'm done, I'll hit the check mark. The text will appear as a clip on its own track below the video track. It acts just like a video clip, and you can drag the edges of the clip to extend or shorten the duration. To move it, just press and hold on the clip for a second until it looks shaded, and now drag it where you want. If you go to the box surrounding the text and you see the icon in the lower right, you could drag it and resize, or you could drag it in a circular motion and you can get it to rotate. You can click on the lower left corner to create a duplicate of the text, and a new clip will appear. On the upper left corner, clicking the X will delete the text. Then on the upper right corner, you can click the pencil icon to go into the editing tools. I'm going to go into more detail on tools available. I'll type something a little more interesting, and if you notice, you can create multiple lines of text. Just hit Enter when you want to start a new row. Once you're finished typing, don't hit the check mark at the end because you want to continue doing more edits. So hit the word Font. See, the 5 main menu items are Font, Style, Effect, Animation, and Bubble, and each one of these has its own submenu of items. If you click on Font, you see a bunch of fonts you can choose from. If you swipe up, you can see there's like 200 or more you can choose. From the submenu, you can add your own font if you have something custom downloaded to your device. If you click on the first icon with the 3 lines that has a little plus, you can add additional languages that have different characters. On the top, click on Not Added, click the plus sign for the language, and then click Save. And I can see the language next to English. The next section is Style. You can customize text color, outline, borders, shadows, and a bunch more. The top row, you see pre-made sets of colors, stroke, and background combinations you can start with. If you want some custom colors, click the multicolor box. You could also use the eyedropper and pick a color from anywhere in your video. On the bottom, there's a slider you can change text size and opacity. The next sub-item menu is Stroke, and you get the same color options as for text. The additional icon next to the eyedropper tool will remove the stroke. The slider below lets you adjust the stroke thickness. So on the next submenu is Canvas, and that's just the background for the text. You get a few options here and a bunch of sliders to change opacity, shape, and the dimensions. The next section, you can add a shadow to the text. You have all the color options and sliders to change the look of the shadow. Next up, you have spacing options where you can align your text to the left, to the right, or have it all centered. With the sliders, you can adjust spaces in between characters or in between lines. And the next section is simple. It's just bold, italic, and underline. The next main section is Effects, which has a bunch of stylized, pre-made effects for your text, and they're also grouped by different colors. Animation is next, and there are a lot of fun things you can do here. You have options for in, out, and loop. You can set an animated text coming in as it first appears on screen, and then have a different one as it leaves the screen. You can also have an animation loop the entire time the text is displayed on screen. Starting with In, select one of the animations and see how it looks. To rewatch it, keep clicking it over and over. There are many to choose from, so swipe up to see the rest of them. On the lower left, you see the slider where you could change the duration of the animation. You can set it to a faster or slower speed. If you choose an out animation, you see it gets its own duration slider on the lower right in red color. Click Loop if you want one of the animations to loop continuously for the duration of your text. The slider on the bottom will control the speed of the loop. If you change your mind and you want to remove any in, out, or loop animations, click on that first icon that says None for each one of them. The last one in the main section is Bubble, and this is like a cartoon comic book effect. I'll remove this text background so you can see it a little easier. It could look a little funny, so you might have to play around with the text size so it could fit some of the bubbles. I'm going to go ahead and remove the loop and the out animation and just keep the in. So that should roughly cover all the tools and the options. When you're done, just click the check mark on the right side and you'll be back at the timeline. You see on the text clip there's a little arrow on the left side, and that shows that you have an in animation. If you had an out animation, you have another little arrow on the right side, and if you had a loop, you'd have a line in between both of them. So remember, you could treat this as a regular video clip. You could extend the edges, drag from the left and the right to make it longer or shorter. You can move it by holding down the clip for a few seconds and then moving it left and right. If you want to make more changes, double tap on the clip and you go right back to the tools. When you're done with all your text, tap the arrow on the left side twice and you'll be back at the normal timeline. You now see your text represented as a thin line above your video clip. To go back into text mode, make sure your video clip is not selected and hit the text icon on the bottom. You see on the bottom you have some additional options, and we're going to take a look at text template. So this is a collection of already pre-made, stylized, animated text. So I'll select one of these to try out. So you're going to want to change the text to something of your own. First, make sure to have the playhead over the video clip. From the video window, you can tap on the first word and you'll be able to change it. You'll do the same thing with the second word. Bring the playhead back over the text and double tap on the second word. You can select the text, hit the icon on the bottom for replace, and swap it out for a different template. I'm going to show you one other option you have with text. If you create text with multiple lines and you want each word or line to have its own style or color, you can highlight and select separate parts, and you'll have the option to edit that style for the individual selection. That about covers the basics for adding text to your video. I will cover other options like text-to-speech, auto captions, and tracking in separate videos.